taste and a special sparkle all its own. Enjoy your Coke at our snack stand right now.
I have regrets. Some of them more obvious than others. But on the whole, well, actually, I think the one thing I'm grateful for is that they didn't end up hitting me on the whole. But I digress. Greetings and felicitations, assorted children of the internet. I am back once again, your not always so gracious host, but I try my damnedest. Damn it. I'm the Logician, back at it again with the white vans, or whatever the hell it is the kids are saying these days. And today we're going to be continuing with more Spyro the Dragon. I want to apologize in advance for any coughing fits or lapses in enthusiasm, as I am still admittedly recovering from the after effects of last night's stream. That is to say, the end of the Hotshot Soul Link, in which I essentially dissolved my esophagus. So every now and then I will be taking a break to take a nice soothing sip of my tea, case in point. In any event, I'm going with the lesser of two evils today, that is to say, a polygonal... Already my vocabulary is failing me. Collectathon 3D platformer, that's the one. Anyway, let's not waste any time and get down to business. To defeat the Huns, I suppose. Anyway. So last we left off, I managed to pretty much clear out all except for the boss and flight simulator levels. Let me just reaccustom myself to the controls here. There we are. Ah, my word. There you are. And just to make sure I always find my way back here. Hello, Gaelic. Thank you for dropping in. Yes, you have reclaimed your title as first. So, as the children say, watch me swoosh right in. I mean, getting this out of the way means I won't have to worry about it for the rest of the evening. Alright, so what are we doing? Boatman. Oh. Well, off to a rollicking good start. You're gonna have a nap, so you'll lurk. That is entirely valid. Might as well start exploring. Oh, for fuck's sake. Let's start simple then. And this. Oh, boats and planes. Throw in some automobiles and we'll have a whole series. I mean, at this point, I'm simply getting a lay of the land. And the labyrinthian tunnels, which encompass it. So it's looking like 8 treasure chests in all. The pull-up's gonna be the major issue here. My word. So I mentioned the soothing remedy of my tea earlier. I guess this is a good way to kick things off, I suppose. What's a comfort food or drink that you tend to fall back on when you've either had a difficult day or simply need to feel better because something just particularly stressful has wormed its way into what would otherwise be a rather pleasant day? A nice cup of tea can definitely do it for me, but it depends on the circumstances and, of course, the tea. Yeah, this ain't it, Chief. It wasn't the worst run, all things considered. For myself, I think one of the main reasons I tend to gravitate so much towards this time of year, that is to say, the autumnal months of the year, this is a time of the year in which you can indulge freely in certain comfort foods of mine, which is to say, soup, tea, general hot foods that probably are going to be, if not necessarily off the menu, then at the very least more difficult to come by in a restaurant. Well, maybe not hard to come by, but ill-advised for that time of year. One of my fondest memories when I was going to college was when I just wanted to relax, I would go to this nice little cafe, not too terribly far from the university bookstore, and I would enjoy a nice, and this was my general go-to menu item there. It was a portobello mushroom panini with a pumpkin soup and sweet potato fries. That was my treat for myself, either when I was feeling down or just needed to relax after a particularly stressful class or study session. And believe you me, getting those last handful of units near the end of my years in the college, those definitely cranked up the anxiety, as I'm sure many people who went to university can understand. I want to add a little clarification as well, because I realize that may have had a bit of an air of, I don't know, holier-than-thou-ness, which was not my intention. I've said it before and I will say it again. Higher education is one of those things where it entirely depends on what you want out of life. If you feel like you want to go to college for whatever career or general skill set you want to flesh out, that is entirely on you. Not everyone needs to go to college in order to have a fulfilling life. It can certainly help, depending on what it is you want to get out of life, but it is by no means a prerequisite to having a successful and or happy life. I say this as someone who calls himself the Logician, so I can understand a bit of skepticism with what it is I'm saying, but genuinely, just do what works for you, your dreams, and your financial situation. Just whatever combination of circumstances are gearing you in any specific direction. Oh, for fuck's sake. That was not a bad run, I will say. Ah, my word. Alright. Granted, I also understand. Hello, Phoenix. It's great to see you as well. I was just waxing philosophical yet again on the importance of higher education pertaining to whatever needs may suit the individual. That is to say, as much as college can help, depending on your desired line of work, it is by no means a necessity when it comes to leading a happy and or successful life. It is entirely dependent on your circumstances, your goals, and just your financial situation in general. Obviously something you've probably all heard before, but it bears repeating a lot of the time, given all the emphasis that goes into higher education. Also, it gives me something else to focus on while I am traversing this labyrinthine hell that I have found myself willingly diving headfirst into. But yes, a question I posed earlier, Phoenix. What is a comfort food or drink that you generally turn to when you are having a particularly stressful time, or simply need a break from the day-to-day stressors of your life? I mentioned previously that for me, when I was in college, one that I would normally go to was a portobello mushroom panini with goat cheese, I believe, with pumpkin soup and sweet potato fries. And I will say this also applies to any life hack foods or sweet treats that may have been your cheap solution to finding a bit of culinary comfort in an otherwise financially tight spot. Even if it's something as simple as, bread and butter with a little bit of sugar put on top. Alright, not the worst one. Let's see. Comfort food is probably anything with cheese. Very easy to please. Honestly, I am very much in the same camp. There actually used to be, in this small town in the part of California where I used to live, this local cheese factory, which actually had built into it a grilled cheese restaurant. It was a restaurant that very much specifically only served grilled cheese sandwiches. And I remember they had some very intriguing combinations there. I believe there was one with Gouda and pear with potentially fig preserves, if I'm remembering correctly. It was very, very good. But definitely falls under the category of hoity-toity, fancy schmancy grilled cheese. Also, some were just generally good with, different cheese blends. You miss German food? Don't know how they cooked the food there, but they definitely put English food to shame. No, I absolutely agree. Growing up in a house with someone who themselves grew up in one of the Polish neighborhoods of Detroit, every now and then we would have a głębki in the house, which, for those of you who are unaware, is essentially a dish where you take meat and cheese and wrap it in cabbage leaves. I believe the way my parents prepared it, it also had a bit of pasta sauce thrown in there. That was something that was surprisingly palatable for a child at the age where vegetables as a whole were not exactly at the forefront of his interests. you want to try that at least once, I definitely recommend it. And again, it is very much as simple as, you know, take some ground beef, some cheese, and tomato sauce, and wrap it in cabbage leaves, and, you know, cook that in a pot. Need to get the pattern down. Literally just say meat and cheese and you're open to it. I mean, I am largely the same. I'm just... Yeah, this ain't gonna be it, but learning something new every time. Who knew the Logician's greatest weakness was food all along, though you could easily argue that the weakness of almost any mammal. That is absolutely true. I mean, here's the thing. Sustenance, whether people are conscious of it or not, is at the forefront of every carbon-based life form's baser instincts. Evolution has fine-tuned our abilities to carry out a handful of key organic functions. Obtain sustenance. Jesus Christ. By the end of this playthrough, I swear I'm going to have a stutter. Obtain sustenance. Reproduce, though obviously not necessarily a universal constant. Yeah, those are the finer details woven into the double helix of most carbon-based life forms. Just reproduce and obtain sustenance. And the fascinating thing is that with as many people from as many walks of life as there are, the fact that each of us have such a unique palette to work with is kind of a testament in and of itself to the sheer variety of circumstances from which our ancestors have managed to get by, I suppose. I apologize for the lack of eloquence on my part. It gets a tad obnoxious trying to come up with a thoughtful monologue, as it were, while also trying to maintain multiple checklists in my head at the same time. It's true, like a lot of nations take pride in the food they create and share with the world, like Italy and Greece. Absolutely. And the fascinating thing is that most of the traditions that most people would very soon, or much sooner, chastise people over than subject to change, those were entirely built on necessity, given the requirements of their ancestors, given their resources. whether it was the availability of certain proteins, the lack of suitable alternatives for what would normally go into a pre-existing recipe. I've said it before and I will say it again, traditions are meant to be broken. And it all comes down to, number one, what makes the most sense given your situation, living or financial or whatever. And also just your general preferences. Sometimes a recipe can be forever altered simply because one person preferred beef over goat. And that in and of itself can lead to ripples in entire cultures. Perhaps it can lead to disagreements between family members, friends, all down to the value they place on upholding specific traditions. This ain't it. I really think I need to get that first chest when I first come out. You just wish you could have great food all the time rather than just okay. Well, that is the unfortunate thing of late-stage capitalism, rather. The fact that delicious food and nutritious food often require a lot more money than is sustainable for many people in the United States. Or rather, what is within their respective budgets. Given the emphasis on having to earn a living, quote unquote, which in and of itself just has the unfortunate implication that you are not worth living by default, that you have to earn the right to live. Which I think we're all in agreement is a completely elitist philosophy that should be dropped like a rock. Now, I can just... This one. This two. Such is one of the few curses of living in England. Let the humans fucking eat. Hashtag, I would say get that hashtag trending, as it were, but I'm not sure if trending hashtags are even a thing on Blue Sky, as that's primarily where I have shifted the focus of my social media experience. Which, once again, if you're not following me on Blue Sky already, I encourage you to try and find me on there. It is very much simply cybernetic. God. I believe .bluesky.social, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, for fuck's sake. Ah, my word. I haven't yet. You should, but you haven't yet. That is entirely on you, and it comes down to... What I meant to say is it's completely valid, whatever you're able to do in your own time. given your own set of circumstances. Not everyone is ready to make the jump from Twitter to Blue Sky just yet, and that is completely understandable. For fuck's sake. There. There. I think I should probably start with the boats. Pick up the arches, or the remaining arches later. There's always an ideal pattern to this. Well, I'm just gonna end that there. Start the boats. I could have done something. I think I had a decent plan at the very least. Some snacks because I made you hungry, and I do apologize for that, but by all means, it is the weekend, and thus you should feel free to indulge. I don't think this is... Oh, for fuck's sake. God knows I certainly indulged during my birthday. Had a veritable feast of Korean food that day. I had myself some nice spicy shrimp noodles, some Korean chicken, some mandu, which are essentially Korean pot stickers. I guess that's a good way to say it. And some French fries with kimchi and cheese and bacon. Damn it. Have you ever considered doing a cooking stream? The thought had occurred to me back before I actually started streaming in general. As I do enjoy cooking. Fun fact, there was actually a period in my life, back in high school, where I was legitimately considering going to culinary school. I had my eyes specifically on the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. But I ultimately ended up going down another route, earning my master's in behavioral neuroscience, and the rest, as you can imagine, is in fact history. But I still do very much enjoy cooking. It's one of those pastimes that not only relieves stress, but also just gives me something to focus on, because I feel like it falls under that category of pastime where it can be considered both a science and an art. Good this time, huh? I think I was on the right track there. It's possible. It is, in fact, possible. Well, that's not it. The thing I find fascinating about cooking in general is, much in the same way that you can draw comparisons between both science and art when it comes to cooking. One of the best ways in which they relate to one another is the fact that many scientists, as well as many chefs, are highly possessive of their findings. Case in point, the classic Chicago-style pizza is a casserole, not pizza. Very much in the same creative vein as certain scientists, unfortunately, refusing to share their research findings with the world at large for their benefit, and also changing the goalposts, as it were, when it comes to their research findings. I'm referring, of course, to the infamous practice in scientific investigation of, funnily enough, cherry picking, which, for the uninitiated, and I think I may have even brought this up before, is the act of essentially picking and choosing which resulting data from your scientific study you choose to represent in your findings. Basically saying, oh, this bit of data doesn't count because it doesn't help support my preconceived ideas as to how this was going to go. Whereas any true scientist, in my humble and often unpopular opinion, does not give a rat's ass what they went into the experiment expecting, and simply reports and elaborates on what the results were, regardless of whether or not they support their initial hypothesis. Very much the same with recipes. Food Cold War or Hot War. I mean, they do say revenge is a dish best served cold, but people also enjoy spilling the tea. And hot goss is often associated with said tea. Where was I going with this? I'm saying that there are both pros and cons to the comparisons between art and science in its regards to cooking. And even as far as, like, pros and cons of traditionalism and progression in art goes, I mean, look no further than the teacher of Matt Mercer's character from Persona 5. The names of which unfortunately escape me for the moment. Would love a Chicago stuffed pizza. I mean, here's the thing. I feel I am in the camp that every pizza is legitimate. Whether it's New York style, Chicago style, Detroit style. They all have their place, they all have their traditions, and they are all delicious. I have my preferences, obviously, as I have had many a heated debate with my friend and colleague Silverwings on the topic of New York style pizza, and why I generally prefer thicker crust pizza. Keep in mind, you're from England and therefore would know nothing. Yeah, you really don't have a horse in this race, which is probably for the best, Phoenix. Ah, my word. And even then, the irony of many New Yorkers' fierce loyalty towards New York-style pizza is that it in and of itself came to be known as New York-style pizza due to the sheer necessity of ingredients and equipment that Italian immigrants found themselves with upon starting their new lives in the United States. New York-style pizza is nothing like Napoleon-style pizza, for example, which Naples is said to be the birthplace of pizza as a dish. Napoleon-style pizza is generally kind of soupy in the middle, and it's actually encouraged to be eaten with a knife and fork. Whereas if you eat pizza with a knife and fork in New York, or its various boroughs, you have essentially spat upon the feet of Mother Mary herself, I suppose, is a fair equivalent to put out there. The Greeks claim to be the birthplace of pizza just by having cheese on top of some bread. I mean, that really comes down to your interpretation of a pizza. And again, some people are fiercely stubborn when it comes to maintaining their specific definitions of pizza, to the point where, once again, they will consistently shift the goalposts for their definitions in order to be right. And again, that very much comes down to that same policy of cherry picking, which I brought up earlier. The point is, don't be an asshole. Don't be a bigot when it comes to food. Let people enjoy what they enjoy and what has been built upon necessity or personal preference. If that doesn't vibe with you, then you still have what you like, and you can enjoy it regardless of the tastes of others. Because funnily enough, not everyone has to adhere to you or your preferences in order for you and them to live long and happy lives. This is a relatively simple concept, one which, for whatever reason, not enough people have figured out. Don't be a dick and fucking eat. Correct. That is an apt summary of my entire spiel there. I am 100% positive I mispronounced that, but you get the gist of what it is I'm trying to get across, I'm sure. Believe me, you don't understand how people get that concept either. Yeah. I mean, ultimately it just comes down to 4 simple words. To each their own. I think that might help a bit, actually. Some people like Sonic, some people like Mario, the smartest people like... Well, I mean, again, it ultimately comes down to personal preference. Like, even now, for example, I even posted about this on Blue Sky earlier this week. Like, as a simple example, as someone who has recently been indoctrined into the school of Sonic the Hedgehog appreciators, people seem to be torn on whether or not they enjoy the writing of Ian Flynn, who wrote much of the story for Sonic Frontiers. Some people applaud his dedication to remaining consistent with the storylines of previous Sonic games, while others feel it is gimmicky and cheap. And I just have to wonder, like, what do you guys want? What is it that you actually want Sonic to be? Do you want it to be consistent or not? Do you like the games or not? No one can seem to give me a straight answer. Well, I think I fucked myself here. It's harder to write about some plot points than it is to just retcon it all. Yes, even the dumb ones, especially the dumb ones, that takes some skill. Believe you me, I know exactly what you mean. As someone who started getting introduced to the lighter side of Sonic through the IDW comics. Again, I would not go so far as to say I am a Sonic fan, but I'm beginning to appreciate the franchise a bit more now that I am not looking at it through the lens of someone whose experience with the franchise has been completely spoiled by its not-so-stellar titles. Because as I've said in other videos, most notably, the episode I was featured on in the popular Sonic-based podcast, The Hill is Always Greener, my first introduction to the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise was through the Sonic and Knuckles collection for computers. And that was what got me accustomed to 2D Sonic games. And then, the very next Sonic games I would play, in order, would be the GameCube ports of Sonic Adventures 1 and 2. There we go. The PS2 version of Shadow the Hedgehog, and the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed. So that sort of set the tone for what I thought the default for Sonic games were meant to be. I fucked up the route again. Just one image of Eggman and people can recite the whole monologue similar to that of Steamed Hands. Yeah. And that really does sort of emphasize the power of mimetic fandom. Just memery in general. Because here's the thing. Metal Gear Rising may have been hamming up the whole aspect of memes being the DNA of the soul, but it was not an accurate assessment, given that the term meme literally does essentially translate to any sort of cultural phenomenon which unites a group of people. It doesn't necessarily have to relate to things you find on the internet. The term meme has been around since long before the internet. It's just in reference to any uniting cultural phenomenon that multiple people can suddenly find they relate to one another with. Memes the DNA of the soul, and they're right. They are genuinely right. You know what? Yeah. I need to figure this out. Not the worst route, but it's these fucking planes. These planes are the main issue here. Literally, it could take one phrase or one image. Let's see. This is how the world ends, not with a bang. But with Shadow the Hedgehog is a bitch-ass motherfucker. He pissed on my fucking wife. Paperbox House has left his mark on the world. Perhaps not in the way he initially intended, but goddamn is it one that will last the ages. Alfred Coleman. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Alright. Oh, there's the planes. That ate up a lot of time, and I don't know where to go now. This is one to tell the grandchildren when they're old enough, obviously. Obviously. No. I know this is not a necessary level to 100% in order to get to the ending of the game. It's just, it taunts me. This is a game from the 90s intended for children, and I will not let it defeat me. It is sheer stubbornness, and I will fully admit to that. Until then, there's the legend of Ash Ketchum, the forever child that achieved greatness in ways we never could. Yes. You need to dominate, or at the very least, mark this off the proverbial bucket list. Then finish off those last 4 loaders down here. Of course. Let me just stop for a second. Look at my surroundings. I lost an obscene amount of time. Nope, that ain't it. This is always the level. There's always these levels. Give me the most trouble. Oh, that ain't it. You got this. I do genuinely appreciate the support, Phoenix. It's just a matter of figuring out process of elimination. Now, the boats are the biggest issue here. But the set could be same with the planes. I'm going to try shifting gears here. And try and go in the order of chests and planes. Oh, it takes this one. Well, I mean, the run's already dead, so I might as well. Yeah, dive. It's done. If it's a when. I would like to believe that. Yep. I have the distinct impression the word nope is going to be on my lips for the better part of the next hour or so. Nope. This is going to take a hot minute. But again, I refuse to give up. I think I'm onto something. What that something may or may not be, I've yet to parse precisely, but I am onto something. Yep. again, that took up way too much time. There's tech here that I've yet to fully understand. That's the term the gamers use, right? Tech? I swear I'm in touch with the youths. And of course that forces me to think back to the early days of my youth, when I could have sworn that the word technique was pronounced technique. I'm pretty sure you can thank the American education system for that one. Or rather, my simple lack of interest in proper pronunciation, which would make sense considering that for the longest time I did have a speech impediment. I know, right? You never would have guessed, would you? Oh, it's still like your work anyway. You don't judge. I genuinely appreciate that, Phoenix. Thank you. Honestly, I could not tell you if I tried, Emmett. I am that far gone in my mission, and I've lost sight of most everything else. I am simply struggling to survive here. In game or in real life? Yes. Something about Griffin having a speech impediment and... Oh, yes. Fun fact, I did, in fact, go to speech therapy as a child. That was a fun period of my life. Thank you so much, PlayStation 1 official hardware, for lagging so egregiously on me. Oh, back for another bit. Back for another dip is what I originally intended to say. Nothing to do with any emulator at all? No, of course not. Because piracy is just a morally apprehensible act. Hold on. Now, hold on. Something to this. You know, it took me this long to realize that it could simply go the other way. Nope, that ain't it. did not need the Nork close-up, but here we are. Oh, for fuck's sake. Nope. Piracy is worse than murder, or at the very least, that's what you were told. Oh, yes, of course. Which is hilarious, given that you live in the UK. I mean, one man's piracy is another man's expedition to fill a museum. Okay, that was not so bad. So I think I might have a plan of attack here. Not the best execution there, but I think you might have an inkling of what it is I'm aiming for now. I'm going to go ahead and dive here, but again, you get the gist. Yep. Oh, fuck's sake. Alright. Oh. Well, I think I found the route. For fuck's sake. Get back here. Nope, that ain't it. Okay. Nope. Steady hand is needed here. Nope. Right. Nope. Damn it. Nope. Let's have a dip. On the off chance this ever gets edited into a highlight reel, there will be a nope counter, and God help whoever is responsible for handling that hot mess. Nope. Slee hours later. I mean, I joke, but I'm... Let's see, how many hours has it been? It's been an hour 15, almost. So... See, I despise when you have to thread the needle on tasks like this when it comes to gaming. This is why I... Oh, for fuck's sake. Unalive. Nope. How hard a job could it possibly be? How could a job like that... How hard could a job like that can possibly be? My apologies. Nope. No more wire controllers! As a reference to a movie most of you have probably never seen. Oh, I missed that chance. That is fine. I am in control. I am in control of the game. I am in control of my life. Though I've gotten serious when I lower myself into the bass and or baritone voice. This range is reserved for when I am trying to convey a very specific meaning. One which, under normal circumstances, I would not wish anyone to see me in. But desperate times call for desperate measures. And this is one of those times, if I ever find myself in. Now then. Super. And now I'm sad because I just remembered that James Earl Jones is this. which is a tragic loss to cinema, to theater, to animation, to all creatives. Where's that last goddamn chest? Let us try this again. Apparently, dipping into this register was the correct choice. Or at the very least, it provided me with enough unwarranted confidence to make my way through the tasks at hand. However, it would appear that the proverbial spinach has run through my biceps dry. The placebo effect has worn off. Now I am simply left in a desperate situation, which calls yet again for unreasonable degrees of concentration and dedication to this paltry task, which, in the grand scheme of things, will have no greater impact on my life than the crushing of a fly against a windshield. I am lost and adrift in the ocean of misery. Cast away without a single hope of rescue, retribution, revival to the days of innocent youth. Simple times were not so simple as we recall. We were simply far, far too ignorant to understand the truth of things. This is the Knuckles thing from Sonic 06, only this was intentional. Someone has to make a stand, Felix. You have to draw a line in the fucking sand. You have to stand up and ask, what were you willing to put up with today? Not fucking this. A hollow victory, but a victory nonetheless. We stand here at the shores the filth-strewn shores of closure. And we are presented with a simple yet gut-wrenching question. Was it worth it? Was the loss of smooth skin colored hair the introduction of fatigue and depression? Was any of it worth this shallow, hollow victory? Perhaps the answer lies in the distant annals of time. But as for us, our generation may never truly come to know, understand, or appreciate the answer. All is lost. So anyway, let's go fight Metalhead. You know? I'd rather not reflect too terribly much on the implication of a children's game, leaving me psychologically broken. But nevertheless, here we are. Ah, my word. Just keeping an eye on John Brady over there. There we are. Ah, my word. The whole point is that you beat it, that's all that matters. In the moment, yes. Let's see here. You know, mayhaps for the best that I did not decide to go exploring down there. Still highly problematic enemy designs. That is something that I will continue to point out, mind you. Alright. Round 2. There we go. My word. Can be a gradual climb further and further up, it seems. Except for this incline here. Alright. What have you got for us, Siddiqui?
This big robot is all charged up to meet you. Attacking the power pole should disrupt its power supply.
You know, I got the general theme of, like, beast makers with, like, taming animals and, like, having armored indigenous people present. That all seemed to be cohesive. The robot part, I mean, well, I'm trying to remember what the gimmick of this guy was. Oh, that's what it was. All right, come on, big boy. Any more friends you want to chuck my way? No? Oh, well, there you go. Didn't lose any gems. Nope. Okay. Round 2. See, I know that they want me to fight the boss. Of course there's a key. Because why wouldn't there be? Alright, come on, gamer. here. Oh, there you go. Fortunately works about as well as a Dell laptop in the early aughts. Now let me see what I can hoard from up here. Well. Gotta go, need sleep. Well, I appreciate you joining me for as long as you did, Phoenix. Thank you so very much. And genuinely, I do appreciate the words of encouragement. Alright. So, probably... find my way back outside. To take off and land on those pillars of treasure. Briefly save here. Last thing I need is to redo any of that. Hear the extra life up there. Anything back here? Is Sir enjoying his dragon tail? You know, if I didn't take the first hour and a half getting through one stage, probably would be enjoying it a lot more, Lorelei. I did technically defeat the boss. That much has been sorted. But now I'm left with another quandary. How in the ever-loving hell to get these remaining treasure boxes? That happened. That's something to hold on to. True enough. True-fucking enough. The issue now is trying to find a way to get enough height to make my way up to where I need to be. And so I see there's something up there. Surprise above the chat layer. Yeah, I did that sort of intentionally, so that wouldn't necessarily go over my face, though I may adjust that at a later date. see. So, just wasn't sure if you intentionally wanted to censor your audience, fascist. Listen. Listen. It's not censorship. It's protection against slander. It obscured the latter part of your message, as well as the entirety of that one. Very well. I suppose I shall let you out of your proverbial prison, as it were. There you are. Now I shall be the one subjected to censorship. Equivalent exchange, I suppose. Ah, my word. Now. Knowing the solutions to previous similar puzzles, I suppose, this is going to be one of those solutions that once I find out what it is, I'm going to be kicking myself and subconsciously drafting a strongly worded letter to Sony. Now, I have the distinct impression that this is not grass, so I don't think that is a viable option. Again, this is one of those details of 3D platformers that sort of put me off of the genre as a whole for quite some time. This element of nitty-gritty exploration in order to 100% each level. Thank you very much for the clip, Lorelei. I genuinely appreciate it. Because the thing is, I know there is a solution here. And my first thought is that it would have to be somewhere on the inside of the castle. But that did not turn out to be the case there. Now I saw there's a bit of climb over in that direction. And so initially I was thinking, oh, the solution must be over this way. But no, the only thing this way, once I'd wiped out what I could on my own, was a locked treasure chest. Meaning the key to said treasure chest must be out there. But I can't get to the additional chests out there because they're too high up. This only takes me up here. I went over there to get those chests. Over here. This took me to a gold gem that was over here. And there is no additional route over this way. Walkthroughs. See, I'd like to try and sort out these details without walkthroughs, if at all possible. Because again, these are puzzles. And puzzles can be solved, generally with a decent amount of reasoning involved. However, I have noticed that is not always the case with Spyro the Dragon in particular. And honestly, there's really nothing entertaining about me just going silent while I do some reading and cursory research. Well, that may have been mildly entertaining, but aside from that, not quite there. Save and unlock yourself. I mean, here is what I eventually do plan on doing. If it gets to the point where I cannot progress any further on my own, I will in fact be taking a brief break to look up walkthroughs to see if I cannot find what is, in all likelihood, an obscenely obtuse solution to this predicament. And in the meantime, I will make use of one of my many away screens and leave you with some jingles from the relatively distant past. So if you will all excuse me for just a moment.
Sneaking out to the drive-in? Why not take the kiddies along and save the expense of a sitter? Everyone enjoys the drive-in.
Please replace the speaker on its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patrons who follow you.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
We're now just 1 minute away from the beginning of our next feature. For your convenience, our refreshment stand will remain open after the feature begins, so you still have time to add to the fun of watching the movie. Before we begin our next feature, we'd like to remind you to replace your speaker before leaving the theater. If it is accidentally damaged, please notify someone at the refreshment stand. Again,
Thank you for pointing out my muted mic. As I was saying, you may recall me mentioning drafting in my mind a strongly worded letter to Sony, or whoever was responsible for this completely Collect your thoughts. It is a child's video game. Anyway, as I was away. I'm going to finish the level now. Once again, I am unsure how they reasonably expected 10 to 12-year-olds to be able to parse together this solution in the frontier days of video game platforming. But nevertheless even, here we are. My word. Oh, lovely. Well, I presume that all of you can hear me now. Oh, for fuck's sake. Only doing this to myself by continuing to play the game? Yes, absolutely. My word. 476. I'm relatively certain that I got... Oh, no. Oh, wait. My dumbass forgot the whole reason I was looking for that key. Well, at least the save points are forgiving. If only safety deposit boxes worked like that. Might not necessarily be feasible, but they would be entertaining. Alright. Nearly 2 hours later, we finished 2 levels. This is fine. This is fine. Oh, and would you look at that? Hello, Mr. Balloonman. Cray. I pray to you. To be fair, later levels in any game are meant to take longer. Yes, that is absolutely true. The Dreamweaver's world. I believe this is the last proper world before the boss world. Oh, gosh. Excuse you. Forgive me, I did not necessarily expect them to be hostile. They looked like Beaker from the Muppets. But then again, I suppose that is technically just my own bias at work. See if I can at least find a dragon. Why? Mushroom. Okay. They were wearing the metal coats. That dictates that I was supposed to ram into them. See, now, I just feel like that would have been a perfect place for some mimics. Little... I'm going to lose my patience. not going to lose my patience. Not over a Muppet. Oh. I am confusion. Did we find ourselves in Toontown? He said, playing the cartoon dragon.
The fools you see in this world are invincible, but that does not mean they shouldn't be attacked.
Sounds all right to me.
So they're invincible, you say? Well, if they're invincible, then surely such mortal concepts such as money are meager concepts to them. Oh, I see. I have to... My goodness. So in order to get the additional gem and extra life, I have to... send him back to the past, Samurai Jack. Okay. Well... I would like to make at least a bit more progress before I call it a stream. Oh, well. He said as he completely went back to the beginning of the world. Oh. Another sign of invincibility, I take it? I don't much appreciate you. You know, I'm going to take this as a sign that this might actually be a better place to end things for the evening than I initially thought. Given that we have just about crossed over the 2-hour mark. This was a stream. Despite it not quite meeting my standards. But then again, my standards have always, much like many of the subjects we've covered this evening, had the goalposts shifted. And I think, given the circumstances, given the recent loss of my esophagus, albeit by my own hand, this is probably just about the best note we can end this stream on. Was it lackluster? Absolutely. But forward progress is still, in fact, forward progress, regardless of how much or to what degree or to whatever significance it may have to others. But I digress, and I do apologize for you popping in just as I'm ending things for the evening, Carl. Timing is, in fact, a fickle bitch. Anyway, I digress. Thank you all very much for dropping by when you did. And I hope you all have a pleasant rest of your evening. And until the next time we meet, however dire the circumstances and whatever fustercluck I place myself into next, because God knows it's not going to be anything simple. Why would I ever even for a moment consider doing that? I ask that all of you always remember to fucking think. Maybe someday I'll take my own advice. Have a good evening.